Hey, what is up, everybody? And this is part 3 of my PlayStation 3 video game collection series of videos. Um, if you haven't seen the first two parts, I highly recommend seeing them because the games you see on the left and right here are covered in those videos. For this video, I'm going to be covering the middle section here. So, again, if you haven't seen them, I'd highly recommend just checking them out at the very least. But if you don't want to, well, there are the games right here. So yeah, and if you're tuning in for the first, if you clicked on this video without watching the first two parts, the reason I'm splitting these videos up is simply just for the sake of not making this video way too long, because the other two parts are at least half an hour each, and I don't want you guys sitting here for like 2 hours just to watch this video. And half an hour is like more than enough. But yeah, so let's get started. First game, we have Infamous and its sequel, Infamous 2. Now, this is not the original box art, so I actually printed that. It did not come with one, so that's basically the reason why I did that. Yeah, GameStop has a habit of doing this, where they sell the games loose. Admittedly, some people, they bring in their games loose, so they don't have actual cases for them, so they sell loose copies. That's why they're like this. Fortunately for me, I have I got the Greatest Hits edition here, which has its original box art and case. I know some people don't like the Greatest Hits, but I've come to appreciate them a bit. You can see right here, we have the game and the manual, which is something that they don't do nowadays. Oh, but yeah, there's even some advertisement for Uncharted 2, which is neat. And of course, actually, yeah. So this game was very commonly found at EB Games, or now called GameStop. So they had tons and tons of copies of this. Now the disc copy I have features the original like PlayStation 3 Spider-Man font on the disc, whereas the actual box itself has the newer logo on it. So yeah, that's the reason why that's the reason why it's different. Interestingly enough, this game has yet to be remastered. I mean, or have any new entry. We got Second Son on PS4, but we never got a sequel to that or anything else. We also have Infamous 2. Yeah, we have Infamous 2 here. Also PS3 exclusive. I believe there was also some. They had the Festival of Blood DLC as well, which you can only get through a download code, sadly. I'm not sure if it's still available though. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is, because the only other way to get it is through the Infamous Collection, which unfortunately has it on has it on a code, which is rather unfortunate. Speaking of the Infamous Collection, this one actually, the disc itself is actually from the Infamous Collection, but when it but what in regards to the Infamous Collection, I believe they basically just repackaged the Infamous 1 and 2 disc. I'm not sure if the patches are all included, or even if they has all the DLC, but yeah, that's basically it. Haven't finished the first game, so I definitely haven't played the second one. So, but we'll see how it goes. I can't remember what Sucker Punch is doing nowadays off the top of my head. I know they're doing something, but I just can't remember. Okay, next up we have a bunch of games here. We have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 in a printed off with a printed off box art. Call of Duty Ghosts in a steelbook, which I did an unboxing of many years ago. I got this for I think I got this for $20 actually. Yeah, I think it was 20. Yeah, it was $20 back then, which I thought was a fantastic deal at the time, especially since you also get the PS4, the PS4 season pass as well. So so back then they were experimenting with cross-platform with cross-buy. So if you bought the hardened edition on PS3, you got, in addition to getting the season pass for PlayStation 3, you got it for PS4 as well for free, which is nice. I know that's become standard nowadays to have that, somewhat standard, I should say. But back then it was this was uncharted territory back then. No pun intended. Next up, we have Modern Warfare 3. I had a lot of fun with this one, online multiplayer wise. Here the multiplayer is still up. Yeah, speaking of which, the multiplayer is still up and running for a lot of these games. It's just that your mileage will vary because a lot of these lobbies have been either hacked, modded, or just don't or just don't work at all because there's not enough players in them. But if you're looking for an online multiplayer experience on PS3, the Call of Duty games are like probably your best bet. Hopefully, I haven't tested it out too recently, but I'm sure plenty of other YouTubers can tell you about it. Oh yeah, and honestly, guys, I'd even go as far to say this: you are better off playing Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare 3 from 2011, even the Wii version, I would say, over the reboot, because that reboot is not worth, frankly, just not worth the price. No, seriously, just if you're gonna play Modern Warfare 3, play the original. It's so much better, even on the Wii. Heck, I'd even recommend the DS version. Go try out the DS version. At least you'll have fun with that. But yeah, that's enough of that. Next up, we have the Black Ops duology. Now we are expecting another Black Ops game later this year, but which has been heavily rumored to take place during the Gulf War. But with that said, a lot of people have actually been. I'm sure there have been a lot of people have been asking for a remaster of both Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, just because these are like fan favorite titles. Like these, Black Ops 2 is like considered the high point of the franchise, and in some ways, yeah, it kind of is. From a campaign's perspective, anyways. Zombies, I think Black Ops 3 has the best zombies from what I understand, and then multiplayer. I'm going to be honest. I actually enjoyed the multiplayer in Ghosts more than Black Ops 2, which I know is going to anger some people, but that's just honestly how I feel. But yeah, this is where before the franchise kind of got a little out of hand, and what I mean is the franchise after Black Ops 2 kind of plateaued or kind of went on a downward trend for a variety of reasons. You know, we had actually, I'm going to bring it up now. I have Advanced Warfare here. This game introduced futuristic, you know, the exosuit and thrust and all the advanced movements, which some people feel a bit turned off by. And you know, Black Ops 3 of course had these, but you also had microtransactions. You also had a lot of battle royale elements as well. A major focus of the newer games have a large emphasis on the battle royale mode. The file sizes for these games have ballooned astronomically. Generally a lot of people, and the campaigns sadly have gotten worse. Some of them are, don't get me wrong, some games after Black Ops 2 have some good campaigns. It's just that they're generally not as well received as the ones featured here. I mean, Black Ops 2 had allowed you to experimented quite a bit by having different endings depending on your choices in the game, which was interesting at the time. Whereas something like Advanced Warfare felt very, I guess, it feels, I guess, gimmicky for lack of a better word. They also, yeah, they tried to introduce new things, but the problem is some of the times it felt more like they did not commit to it. So Advanced Warfare has advanced movement, but it's not like a free. But you're often limited to scripted events. In fact, that's generally the general problem with a lot of the Call of Duty games. That's the major criticism against it. They're like linear corridors where you go point A to point B, and while there is fun to have with that design, with that sort of gameplay, they kept releasing a brand new entry every single year, regardless of quality, and obviously the Black Ops name, while recognizable, has taken a hit because of it. It also doesn't help that they did not commit to like having another sub-series. Like, you had one Advanced Warfare game, but then the next game that they made was World War II, and then the game after that was another World War II game that was unrelated to the other World War II game, and then the next game after that was basically just a expansion to a previous game, that being Modern Warfare 2 Reboot. So yeah, but oh yeah, it's also worth mentioning that the PS3 edition of the game, they did offer I think they offered a free upgrade at some point, but it was only temporary. It isn't like now where if you buy a brand new Call of Duty game, you get both versions. But yeah, you get both versions. Like in the more recent games, you get both versions. You just have to pay a little bit more just to get that version, or more specific, or with the actually no, sorry. So at first, when they started releasing games on PS5, what they did was you had to buy certain editions of the game to get the to get the next gen upgrade. But then, starting with, I believe, Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 2 Reboot, you have to buy the cross gen. You have no choice but to buy the cross gen edition on last gen hardware, which basically means you have to pay $70 regardless of which version you pick. So if you just don't want the PS4 copy, then you're still just if you don't you're basically just being forced to buy both versions of the game essentially, or if you buy the PS5 copy or Xbox Series X, if you buy the PS5 copy of like MW2 or MW3 Reboot, you're just getting a slightly worse deal overall. And it's also worth mentioning before I forget, the PS3 version of this game. This game definitely feels like a game that was back ported, because it looks worse and it runs worse, and it also doesn't help that it was also done by an outside studio as well. So it's not as, I guess, well optimized as it could be if the actual studio developing the game actually worked on it. And I believe, this port was actually done by High Moon Studios, and according to the back of the box, also Raven Software. High Moon Studios, of course, did the Transformers Cybertron games, which are pretty good, but ever since then, they've been stuck on Call of Duty ever since, sadly. I got lots to say about Call of Duty, but if I said everything, we'd be here all day. So let's move on to the next set of games, the God of War games, actually. We got the God of War Collection here, a compilation of an HD remaster of God of War 1 and 2. Interestingly enough, God of War 2 came out in 2007 for the PlayStation 2, and only the PlayStation 2 at the time. Yes, they gave us they gave us God of War 2 in this collection, but it was a bit of a missed opportunity to not have God of War 2 on the PS3. But I guess they didn't want to do that because there are certain expectations that come with having a PS3 game at the time. I mean, nowadays it's very normal to have a lot of cross-gen titles. Have a game released on last-gen hardware and then have a slightly better-looking version on next-gen hardware. But back then, they would rather just make the game either for last-gen hardware and keep it last-gen, or make a game for next-gen and keep it next-gen, or if they release the game on both consoles, have the last gen version be completely different to the next gen version, which was very much the case with a number of third-party titles. That, and also having it exclusively on PS2, was just cheaper overall. Oh yeah, this also includes, the collection itself also includes a voucher for the God of War 3 demo, but honestly, that's completely irrelevant now, unless of course, unless you already have it downloaded. I don't even know if I don't even know how different it actually is. Oh yeah, the code's not even valid anymore. You can't even download it. But yeah, God of War 1 and 2. I'm actually currently going through God of War 2 right now. I'm actually a good chunk of the way there. I'm debating whether or not I should. I'm debating on which game to try it out next, because obviously the franchise kind of, after God of War 2, we got, in addition to God of War 3, which I have right here, in addition to God of War 3, we also have the PSP games that were eventually remastered on the PlayStation 3. So, yeah, you can see right here, the Origins collection includes God of War, Ghost of Sparta, and I forgot what that other game was. Oh, Chains of Olympus. Yeah, Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, which were released exclusively on PS2, but then ported to PS3. And yeah, these are basically, and of course the PSP was basically just a slightly less powerful PlayStation 2. So I'm probably gonna play these PSP games first and then go to God of War 3, just because I don't want to go to God of War 3 and then go back to something that feels a little less refined. And speaking of God of War 3, this game got a PS4 remaster, and yet for some reason they decided not to remaster the other games. I'm not sure why, but yeah, you can play God of War 3 on PS3, but for some reason they decided not to bring the other games as well, which is a bit odd, because they could have done it. It was a perfect opportunity to have done it, but they just didn't seize the opportunity, and now a good chunk of the franchise is still stuck on legacy hardware. And of course we also have a God of War Ascension. That also includes God of War Ascension, which I heard wasn't as well received as the other titles. So chronologically, like this is like a prequel. So yeah, it takes place. It takes place at the very beginning. So from my understanding, this basically tells how Kratos became who he was. I think, I'm not too sure, but yeah, this, along with like all these HD compilations, are still stuck on PS3. And if it weren't for the fact that we have God of War on PS4 and Ragnarok also on PS4, the franchise is basically locked to PlayStation 3. But yeah, that's basically it for God of War. I'll be sure to get to the new games, that for sure. One franchise, however, I may not get to is Little Big Planet, and just because the online servers have been shut down, and you may be thinking, oh, why can't I can just still play it offline? Yes, but in the case of Little Big Planet, the main gimmick of this game is that you make levels of your own and then share it with people. But I guess it's basically Mario Maker before Mario Maker was a thing, but the problem is that's a major aspect of the game that's now gone. So yeah, I never got into Little Big Planet, so I kind of missed out on it. We haven't seen a new. Actually, no, we got Sackboy's Adventure recently, but aside from that, we haven't seen. There's no word on Little Big Planet 4. Thankfully, I do have the Game of the Year edition though, so whatever. I guess that's a plus in some way. It's always nice to have a Game of the Year edition that has all the content. Next up, we have the Ratchet and Clank franchise. So we have Ratchet and Clank Collection, which includes the first 3 games, Tools of Ratchet and Clank Future, Tools of Destruction, and Ratchet and Clank Future: A Crack in Time. I'm gonna be honest, have yet to actually try this franchise. I heard it's good. I've also heard that the HD collection has some issues. There are some bugs in it, unfortunately, and I think some people were also disappointed that I think Ratchet and Clank I think it's Ratchet and Clank Deadlock was not included as well, which was also released on PS2 originally. You can actually, I think you can actually. Oh yeah, I think it was. I can't remember. Oh no, no, that was Jack and Daxter. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So we have. I got a total of 5 games here, and a good chunk. And unfortunately, I think a couple of the games are like download only, or more, or more only you can only get them. The easiest way to get them is by getting them off the PS3 store, which is a total nightmare to use nowadays. But from my understanding, like they're still offering, still have this promotional offer on the PS3 store. I can't remember exactly which game, but by buying one game on on Ratchet and Clank game on PS3 store, you also get another game for free. I can't remember which one though. I think it was like Quest for Booty or something like that. I can't remember, but yeah, you can look it up. I think that offer is still valid. But yeah, as for these games, this is a franchise that I'm going to be tackling inevitably soon. As you know, maybe after God of War, but that remains to be seen. Next up, we have Persona 5. Yeah, so I got this back in 2018, and I did not get that far into it. I think I got like maybe 1 hour into it, and then I stopped playing because I didn't necessarily want to play the 5th game and then move to the 4th game at the time. But of course that didn't matter. You know, in the long run, it doesn't really matter. You can play any Persona game, start from any game, since the stories are pretty standalone. Although I do like to play the games in some sort of in order, just because I want to see the innovations that are made in between titles. I did eventually play Persona 5 last year. I did eventually play Persona 5 when it was released on PC, specifically the the Xbox app for PC. So I put in over 133 hours into that. At least, yeah, that's how long it took me to finish it. This is a very, very long game, and a part of me regrets not playing it on PS3 since they actually put in the effort to bring this to PlayStation 3 in 2017. They didn't have to do that. They could have just said, you know what, let's just release it on PS4, make it a PS4 exclusive, since development has been taking so long. But you know what? They decided to release it on PS3. And I gotta say, as like one of the final games released on PS3, it is a fantastic game. Although, now that you have the updated version, Persona 5 Royal, this is kind of irrelevant, unless, of course, you don't like the changes in Royal. But, yeah, I mean, I suppose there is some, I guess, some reason that you'd want to own this. Hey, this is the last one. This is basically the PlayStation 3 swan song. So, and it's also considered like one of the best video games of all time too. So, really, I guess you could try it just for the novelty's sake. But realistically, just get the PS4. Just get the Royal, the PlayStation. Just get Persona 5 Royal. It fixes whatever issues that this game had originally and adds new stuff to it. Okay, now finally we're going to end off with the Uncharted trilogy. Uncharted 1, Drake's Fortune, Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, and Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. Now honestly, I have really no reason to own these on PS3 anymore because I have the PS4 version. I actually got it for free a while back. But yeah, this is how I experienced the franchise initially. I remember actually getting a headache from Drake's Fortune. Didn't understand it at the time, but now I know it's because of all the technical issues that the game had at launch, or during the generation. The PlayStation 3 generation was not great when it came to frame rate, or or uh, or just technical performance in general. They did manage to sort of iron it out a bit as the generation went along. I mean, Uncharted 2 I really enjoyed Uncharted 2 when I played it. I remember when I first got it, I got it for $2 back in 2014, and I really enjoyed it, my time with it. Uncharted 2, 3 was basically more of the same. It was still really good, but I think the one thing that the Uncharted trilogy on PS3 have in common is that the final boss, the final encounter, was a little underwhelming, sadly. But aside from that, there are still fantastic games, and obviously the best way to play them now is just playing the Nathan Drake collection on PS4 or PS5. Um, but yeah, that basically does it. That's basically it. That's basically my entire um, collection of PS3 games. More specifically, PS3 games that actually come in a case, because I do have some more games to show off. It's just that the games I have to show off either don't have cases or they're digital copies on the various PS3 consoles I have. So stay tuned for that. But that does it for this video, guys. Like always, if you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I will see you next time. Take care.